I believe I'm on Magnolia Avenue right now, heading west, and turning southbound right now onto Harrison Street. The call of shots fired has already been given out, and I'm just heading into the direction of where they said it was coming from.
There's a date and time that's marked on the upper right-hand corner of the video. Does it fairly and accurately represent the date and time in which this took place?
I believe so. I believe I'm at the intersection of Wilson Avenue, and now I'm turning back west, heading towards Cherry Street and Chestnut Street.
Where are we now?
This is the scene of the incident, the 2500 block of Wilson Avenue, where you can see the vehicle has been overturned onto its side and it collided with a parked motor vehicle.
What are you trying to do here?
I was trying to get the windshield open to gain access. I wasn't able to, and it was cutting into my hand. At this point in time, I can hear the fire department showing up, so they've become more equipped to gain access.
At this point, what are you doing now?
Checking for a pulse.
There are other officers that have arrived on the scene at this point.
Yes.
Can you describe to the jury what happens at this point? film the phone?
At that point in time, we just waited for EMS to get on scene to extract the victim from the vehicle, perform any kind of medical procedure they could at that point in time. And then me and fellow officers that showed up on scene just try to secure the scene as best we possibly could and collect as much evidence as we could, and gain any eyewitness information that we could.
So you had a chance to, with your fellow officers, to speak to those two ladies that were there at the scene?
Yes,
And you were able to watch the emergency personnel remove Stanley Freeman and attempt to work on him at the street?
yes,
And then after that, were you able to see the emergency personnel put him into the ambulance and send him off?
yes.
During that process, were you able to witness their removing part of his clothing in order to work on Mr. Freeman?
I couldn't tell you exactly what they did to him while he was laying in the street. They, to my best of recollection, I think they worked on him for anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes while they were there on scene before they were able to load him up.
We have those pictures that we had asked him to locate, and we'd like
I
to.
gave you this. Oh, you got them on hard?
Yes, we have them on
okay.
hard.
You may publish.
And this particular photograph, number 12, in the lower right-hand corner, are you able to identify who the emergency personnel are working on?
It's KFD, and National Fire Department, and AMR service.
And the person that is depicted in the blue jeans in the right lower corner, is that the person they extracted from the vehicle?
Yes,
Mr. Freeman?
yes.
Okay. And where are we looking at? Down this way?
This is, it's at the 2500 block of Wilson Avenue and looking west down the street towards Chestnut Street.
Is this towards the point where the vehicle rested?
Yes, you can see the vehicle in the middle of it, resting up on its side next to the red sedan.
And number 14?
It's close to where we just took it, the same angle, same direction.
Number 15?
This is the opposite direction, facing eastbound.
And the, if we go back, in the left-hand middle quadrant of that particular photograph in front of the red vehicle appears to be some sort of clothing. Is that clothing that was Mr. Freeman was wearing?
Some of the clothing that had been taken off the victim and the other items that you're seeing are equipment used by AMR during their treatment.
Number 16?
The vehicle, the victim's vehicle that he was in, and the other one they applied with.
Number 17?
Just another angle on the, if you're looking north of where the victim's vehicle is, how it made a collision with the red sedan, of course.
Number 18?
Again, just looking westbound from
Number 19?
the same thing.
And that's after Mr. Freeman was extracted?
Yes.
And taken away from the scene where the windshield was peeled away?
Yes.
And number 20?
Just a north view of it.
And number 21?
It's just a close-up shot of the extraction, after the extraction occurred.
And can you see a red sneaker that's in the compartment, the passenger compartment there?
Yes.
Is that also one of the sneakers that was left in the street with
Yes.
this clothing? 22?
There is the red sneaker. The clothes that were removed from the victim along with the sneaker and the medical equipment.
Thank you.
Cross-examination, Mr. Robinette, you want to go first, or Mr. Mathis?
No questions, Your Honor.
I don't have any questions.
All right. Thank you, officer. Have a good afternoon. Next witness.
Rachel Warren.
solemnly swear or affirm the testimony about to give in the case now on trial will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. Lawrence. General, is everything open or do we need a knife?
We need a knife, okay, and for the record, the defense and the state agreed that it was okay for the state to open the outside envelope so I can mark the individual envelopes. I think Judge Sawyer knows.
You got
He has-
She has her own knife.
Oh,
She brought a knife in my courtroom without asking, but we'll let her.
Hey, can we use your projector, please? Please use your name.
My name is Rachel Warren,
Where are you employed?
the Knoxville Police Department.
How long have you been employed there?
A little over 12 years.
What do you do with the Knoxville Police Department?
I work in the forensic unit as a crime scene technician.
What is a crime scene technician?
We go to any crime scene within the city and document and process the scene.
And what does it mean to process the scene?
Depending on what the scene is, we may take photographs, we may collect evidence, we may try to get fingerprints or collect DNA.
Now, do you yourself at KPD, do you test for DNA?
Oh, I'm sorry, I do not. No, TBI does.
So you will collect it and then it will be sent to TBI
Correct.
for testing?
Correct.
So as far as fingerprint lifting, do you yourself test for the presence of fingerprints?
I look for the fingerprints, however, I don't analyze them back at the office.
So if you're able to lift a print, then you send that back to KPD for someone else to examine.
Correct.
Now, we were working on February 12th of 2021.
Yes.
Did you have occasion to receive or overhear a call for service near Austin East?
Yes.
What were you doing that day?
I was working. I was on my regular shift.
Do you remember what you said, the regular shift? Was there particular hours that you worked?
Yes, I work 8 to 6.
When you got that call, what did you then do?
I headed toward Tarleton Avenue.
And where is Carlton Avenue in relationship to Austin East High School?
It's a street kind of directly to the side of it. You can see Austin East from Tarleton Avenue.
When you arrived at Carlton, what did you observe?
I observed one of our officers had already started laying down placards to mark shell casings in the street. Literally, the entire street was covered in shell casings.
So what did you then do?
We continued to placard, and then I took photographs of the casings.
And so what's the point of putting down placards first?
Well, you can see where they are located a lot better, and then we have a little scale that we can take measurements.
So you put the placards down, and then what did you do next?
I photographed where they were at. I walked the entire street taking photographs, and then I walked back up the street going the other direction and took more photographs. And then I took close-ups of each individual casing.
In addition to casings, did you photograph anything else?
Yes, I photographed 2 vehicles and a house, and I believe that was it.
And in addition to the photograph series, you also at a later date prepare a diagram.
I did.
Has he already looked at those?
Carlton should be good.
Okay. I'm not rushing. Okay. You want to quote? go to the diagram then? Is that okay? You seen the diagram? Seen the diagram? Yes. So let's, yeah, she's on prayer.
She's gonna do the guns too, though, in the testimony.
Was, okay, very fair. She's gonna identify all this.
Right, right.
And I stopped at
309 will be the next one.
If I can show you exhibit 309, do you recognize exhibit 309?
Yes, I do.
What is exhibit 309?
This is a diagram I came up with to show where the shell casings were located on Tarleton.
Okay, and so let's talk about the circles. What do the circles represent?
The circles represent the shell casings. The green represent the .45 caliber. The purple represent the 7.62s. The pink represent the 9mm, and the one at the very end in blue was a .380.
And so at the time that you collected these cases, did you know whether or not all of these cases had anything to do with the shooting or not?
No, I did not.
So why did you collect all of these cases?
Well, they're evidence. We didn't know what was related and what was not.
And you prepared that diagram?
Yes.
You say 308?
309.
309? I want to display that while we're going through the photos here, showing you exhibits 23 through 88. Do you recognize exhibits 23 through 88?
Yes, I do. These are photos I took on Tarleton.
Would you like to move into evidence exhibits 23 through 88?
The defense partial objection be admitted as exhibits 23 to 28.
I'm sorry, you're on 23 through 88.
88, I'm sorry.
And we would like permission to publish those to the jury.
You may publish.
Well, I was going to wait. I was going to move in exhibit 308 unless you want me to.
309.
I'm sorry, 309.
I would say that it's only been, for identification purposes, only there's content that's not been testified to yet.
Yeah, I
As
think
witness.
we need, yeah.
And I'd ask that it not be published to the jury at this time. But exhibit 309
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
specifically.
All right, so the diagrams though is going to show us where the casings were.
Correct.
Direct your attention to the screen. You recognize exhibit 24?
Yes, this is a photo I took just to show where I started at.
Sir, can we have the lights, please? And so where's the intersection here?
This is Tarleton and Houston.
Exhibit 25?
This is a photo just to start showing how the street runs.
And so what is this building here?
That's Austin East.
So we're looking at Austin East.
Yes.
Exhibit 26.
Here I'm taking kind of a long-range photo just to show where evidence marker number 1 is. And if you can see in front of the cruiser, there's some more placards up there.
And so is there any significance to the numbering of the placards?
We usually try to place them in order of how we document the scene.
So you're not saying that that's the first casing that was fired?
Correct, I'm not, no.
Exhibit 27?
Just another kind of long-range shot of the placards.
Are you walking closer to Austin East?
Yes,
28?
and just a shot to show the placards again.
29?
I've moved on down just a little bit to show more placards in the street as well as on the sidewalk and in the grass.
30,
And this is a shot to show the ones on the sidewalk and in the grass.
31,
I'm just trying to kind of establish where I am because I'm going to be walking past that police cruiser.
32,
There's a shell casing over, yes, right there.
33,
And just another picture of that, where that one looks located.
34,
Just to, again, keep trying to show where I'm going, and there's another placard in front of that lot vehicle.
35,
Just another picture to show where it's located.
36,
A kind of mid-range photo of it,
37.
just to show that I'm continuing to walk down the street.
So while you're walking, you're still looking for casings?
Correct.
38,
There's another casing right there between the vehicles.
39,
And you can see actually three more placards set up.
so at this point in time, again, you don't know what all is connected in this case?
Correct.
40,
Just another shot to show the placards.
41,
And you can see there's two in this photo.
42,
I think I'm just trying to show the location and maybe get partially that address to show where I'm at.
43,
Just another shot showing the end of the street and that placard.
again, at the time, you didn't know whether or not the damage to this truck had anything to do with it or not,
Correct,
and you have since found out that it did,
correct,
but you're still documenting.
correct. I believe I had already documented, and then one of the officers told me that it was old damage.
And you don't then just go in there and pull those pictures out, you still.
Correct, no, we don't delete our photos once we've taken them.
44,
And this I'm sorry. This is that Blazer that I photographed with the bullet defect in
45,
it. Just a close-up of the bullet defect.
46,
I noticed this house had what looked like a bullet defect above the window.
don't know if it has anything to do with it or not,
Correct,
because you just documented.
correct.
47,
And just kind of a mid-range photo of it.
48,
And this is a picture of my last placard.
so this building here is what again?
That's Austin East High School.
And this is behind Austin East?
Correct.
49,
At this point, I turned around and I went back up the entire street to just take photos again.
50,
And also, going back up the street, I took photos of all of the vehicles that were parked on the side of the street.
51,
Just another shot as I'm walking back up the street.
52,
Same thing, another shot showing where the placard is.
53,
Just another shot documenting where the placard is.
54,
Same thing, other shots just showing placards from a different angle.
55,
This is me showing all those placards at the angle from walking from Austin East.
56,
And this is the intersection where I started at.
and again, this is going to be Houston, Charlton and Houston.
Yes.
57,
So now I'm going to go and take my close-ups of all the placards and the casings.
58.
Placard 2 with the casing.
Now, what does that indicate to you, that little pinch right there?
That it's been run over by a vehicle.
59,
Placard 3 and the casing.
60,
4 and 5.
same thing?
Yes.
And when you say yes, what does that indicate to you?
That it's been run over by a vehicle.
61,
Placard 6 with the casing. 7 with the casing.
63,
8 with the casing.
64,
Well, this is 22 with the casing. So when we walked, I had already laid all my placards down in order, and then we were finding more, so that's why this one's numbered as 22.
65,
Number 9 in the casing,
66,
number 10 in the casing,
67,
11 in the casing,
68.
21 with the casing.
Is there a pinch on this one?
Yes, there appears to be.
What does that indicate to you?
That it's been run over.
69,
12 in the casing,
in the grass now?
in the grass, yes.
70,
13 and 14 casing on the sidewalk.
71,
15 casing,
72,
16 with the casing that appears to have been run over. 17 with the casing,
74,
18 with the casing,
75,
19 with the casing that appears to have been run over,
76,
and 20 with the casing that appears to have been, it was so mangled that I couldn't even read the head stamp on that one.
So what did that, based upon your training experience, what did it indicate to you as it relates to this case in here?
That it's been there quite a while.
Because it wasn't in the same condition as the other ones.
Correct.
All right, so 77,
So after I photographed all the casings close up, they were packaged each individually in envelopes, and I was actually about to depart from this scene when the owner of this Dodge Journey informed me that her vehicle had been hit.
so what did you then do?
I went ahead and documented her vehicle.
78,
This is a picture of the driver's side, and if you can see toward the tail light, there's a bullet defect.
79,
Just a mid-range shot of the defect.
and these men here are officers.
Correct.
80,
This is a close-up of the defect.
81,
There was also a defect up top, toward the rack on the top.
and now are we facing towards the school or away from the school?
We're facing away from the school.
82,
And this is just a closer view of that defect up top,
83,
and with a scale.
84,
The owner of the vehicle had already removed the core of the bullet from where it was, so I'm documenting, she laid it down there, and I've documented it.
85,
And that's just a close-up shot of it.
86,
I'm trying to show the cup holder on the left, that's where it had ended up,
87,
and just kind of a mid-range shot of it.
88,
And there's the close-up that shows where it came into the vehicle, and that's where she found it.
so, stay here for a while, and so you said that, you have a license, please? So you said that you collected this evidence, and what did you do with it?
Each casing was packaged individually in its own small envelope and put in my vehicle for safekeeping until I could get back to the office and package it all together.
And then once it was all packaged, did you put it in a larger envelope?
Yes.
So, sorry, what number?
310.
310 is the next one.
So what I have done is I have packaged them by caliber together so we can go through it. It's okay for her to step down and let her show at least a couple of them to the judge.
Is she gonna talk or just show? Talk. Everybody have.
You said you got a knife?
Yes.
Gerald, do you want the exhibit table thing?
Oh, yes, that'd be
Yeah,
good.
or Officer Tracy, can you grab that? 13 and 14. If y'all want, if you can't see, you can stand. Those in the back row, you can stand as well too. Don't forget, you're gonna have these exhibits with you in the jury room, so don't feel like you have to memorize them right now.
Showing you exhibit 310, do you recognize exhibit 310?
Yes, this is exhibit number 20.
Yeah, let me turn it up a little bit there.
Young man, move a second.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
What is exhibit 310?
It is, evidence marker, 5 or 20. And this is the one that's labeled.
Like exhibit 310 in this evidence?
Is there any objection to any of these casings?
Young, I just only object to the one that's not related,
The old one?
the old one.
I think for the purposes of showing the collection, I'm gonna let it in and let the state explain that they're not connected to, they believe it's not connected.
I'm not sure of the number, because we have about, yeah, but I would have not promised this one, but I to get another casing.
That's not coming up
We'll do
yet.
it by individual.
Okay.
And
We'll wait until we get to that.
Okay, so what is exhibit 310?
This is platter number 20. This is the one that was mangled where I couldn't read the head stamp.
So when you say the head stamp, if you want to show them what you're talking about, please.
So on these casings, there's a head stamp on the end of it, and I should be able to read what it says, but I couldn't read it in this case.
Exhibit 310. And so I'm going to ask you to open up one of these, but exhibits 311, 312, 313, 314, and 315, you can take a look and tell us what those exhibits are. So it's 311 through 315.
These are the 9mm I collected.
I'd like to move the evidence exhibits 311 through 315.
Any objection to these?
Is this the one, the unrelated one?
No, this is
Not-
the 9mm.
It is, Your Honor, because
Okay.
that,
Yeah, for the same reason I'm gonna.
Yeah,
let
I just
them-
wait to
then we
say
can
objection.
connect it later, rather on it's connected to either of these buckets.
And so I would ask you to open up one, which one is that, is that 311?
Yes.
And so explain, show the jury what you're looking at, because you say that it's a 9mm.
Yes, if you look at this closely, the head stamp is right here, and it will tell what it is.
And so, again, you didn't know whether or not it had anything to do with this case.
Correct.
And so you collect everything.
Correct.
And these were submitted to KPD, the firearms examiner.
Yes.
Now, showing you exhibits 316 through 324. Do you recognize these exhibits?
Yes, these are all the 45 casings that I collected.
We'd like to move into evidence exhibits 316 through 324.
Any objection there?
no, Your Honor.
We'd like permission to publish 316 to the jury.
You bet.
This is one of the 45s. And again, you can tell by the head stamp what it is.
Lastly, I'd like you to take a look at exhibits 325 through 331.
These are the 762s that I collected.
I'd like to move into exhibits
25 to 331.
325 through 331.
Any objection?
Hang on.
The 325 to 331.
And if she could be permitted to open up 331
Very well.
and show that to the jury. Case 6. Three thirty-two. I can show you exhibit 332. Ask for recognize exhibit 332.
Yes, this is the bullet cord that I got from the yard sale.
I'd like to move exhibit 332 in as evidence.
Any objection?
I would object, Your Honor.
I do too, yeah.
Correct.
So you said that was, start to explain what you said that was?
This is the bullet core that went into her vehicle and ended up in the cup holder.
What is a bulletproof?
Just to be clear, she told you it was in the cup holder, you didn't find it in the cup holder?
Correct, I did
Okay,
not
I
find
just
it.
wanna make that clear.
She had already removed it from its original location. Yes.
There was a hole outside of the vehicle,
Correct,
and there was a hole in the cup holder.
correct,
And you collected that bullet core from this lady.
correct, yes.
What is a bullet core?
So it's going to be the part, the actual projectile, the lead bullet.
Is it 322?
32.
332, I'm sorry, can we like move the evidence exhibit 332?
Without further objection, it'll be 332.
And she could publish that to the jury.
You may publish it.
And so you collected this, and when you collected it, what did you then do with it?
I put it in one of these small envelopes.
You took it back to KPD,
Yes,
and that's for Sergeant Dawson to analyze?
yes.
All right. Now, you see here. 332. Now, after you finished up there at Tarleton, did you go to any other scene?
Yes, after I finished up at Tarleton, I went over to Wilson to see if the other technician needed some help.
And what is the other technician's name?
Her name is Rosa Gonzalez.
And did you assist Rosa Gonzalez?
I did.
Did you have occasion to observe the scene there on Wilson?
Yes, I did.
What did you observe when you arrived at Wilson?
I observed some tire tracks on the left side of the street. There was an overturned fire hydrant. It appeared as if the vehicle had hit two other vehicles, and there was an overturned, maybe a carport, some kind of shed-looking thing.
Now, when you arrived on the scene, was the victim still there?
No, it was
Was his clothing still there?
no,
And the clothing had already been collected.
correct.
And so when you got on the scene, what did you then do?
The vehicle was still on its side when I arrived. So Rosa was still taking some photos. So I just kind of stood by until the wrecker uprighted the vehicle.
And once the vehicle was uprighted, what happened?
She took some more photos, and there was a question of where the victim was located in the vehicle. So the investigators requested that we fingerprint the driver's side. So she did that, and I went behind her and swabbed for possible DNA on the driver door, the inside and out, and also swabbed the steering wheel and the shifter.
If I can approach,
Ma'am.
show you exhibits 89 through 119, and ask if you recognize these photographs.
These look like the photos that Ted Gonzalez took on Wilson.
And you have occasion to review those photographs before today?
Yes, I have.
And do those photos fairly and accurately reflect the scene?
Yes.
We'd like to move into evidence exhibits 89 through 119.
Any objection?
Yeah, to be clear, oh, there's a host.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's the Wilson Avenue.
No objection on that one today.
Okay, very good.
And we'd like permission to publish these to the jury.
You may.
Thank you. What are we looking at here?
This is the driver's side of the vehicle, once it was uprighted.
What's the sticker here?
That's a bullet defect. And so she has, put a little scale there to photograph it.
9?
This is the passenger side of the vehicle.
Those stickers there?
Yes, there's more bullet defects right here. This is the front of the vehicle. This is a defect in the hood of the vehicle.
Yeah, 93.
This is the driver's side door.
94.
Just a picture of the interior of the front.
95.
I think she was just talking to me floorboard and
96.
and just a shot of the passenger area, front passenger area.
97.
This is the driver's seat with a bullet defect in it.
98.
And this is a picture of the defect with scale
99.
and just a close-up.
100.
A picture of the rear area of the vehicle.
101.
And just another photo, you can see there's a bullet defect in the back of the driver's seat.
102.
She was trying to get it close up.
103.
This appears to be the front driver door in.
104.
And now she's scaled that defect.
105.
Picture of the rear of the vehicle,
106.
and there's a bullet defect over there.
107.
We discovered that the defect that you previously just looked at and gone through, that's the rear seat area where there's a little console that folds down. So if you can see in the black area up top, there's a defect.
108.
And she has scaled and photographed it.
109.
And that's the console folded down, it went through that cup holder,
110.
and she's photographed with it scaled.
111.
And so this is the middle console kind of pushed back up, and there's a defect further,
112.
and a picture with it scaled.
113.
Lifted up the driver floor mat, and there was a phone underneath, as well as some paperwork.
114.
And I think she's just documenting what's on the passenger side, floorboard and glove box.
115.
Just a picture of what was in the trunk.
116.
This is inside the trunk where that console is. So this is where the bullet has entered from inside the trunk into that console from the backside.
117.
And a picture of it with the scale.
118.
This is where the bullet entered through the trunk area, and we tried to pull back that, I don't know what it's called, the covering, I guess, to show where it's coming at.
119.
And just another shot of where that bullet initially came in at.
Right. Now let's go to, you said that you took some swaps.
I didn't do this.
333. Okay. 333. We'll make these selected. 333. What is it? Do you recognize exhibit 333?
Yes, these are the swabs I took of the vehicle, the steering wheel gear shifter, the exterior of the front door, and the interior of the front door.
Like exhibit exhibits 333 in as collected.
That's from the Honda, right?
Correct.
All right, any objection?
None.
All right, exhibit 333 collected.
If you don't mind, can you just pull one out and explain to the jury what the swab is and how you take the swab?
Yes, we have these long cotton tip applicators, it's kind of well, basically a long Q-tip. And we will, generally will wet one of them with a little bit of distilled water, kind of to rehydrate, possible skin cells left behind. So we'll use one as a wet swab and one as a dry swab to collect possible DNA.
And you collected those from which locations again?
With the steering wheel, now I have written on here the front passenger door. So I thought it was the front driver door, but I may have written wrong thing on the swabs.
But you collected all of those.
Correct.
Now, once you finish processing the vehicle there at Wilson, what did you then do with the vehicle?
The vehicle was towed to our processing bay at our office at Fifth Avenue.
And why is that?
We were going to try to retrieve the bullet.
I'm sorry.
We were going to try to retrieve the projectile that had went to the driver front door.
And so I've got impound number one. Do you have any? Do you want to approach? Hey, Mr. Robinette. I'm sorry. So you said you went to the garage,
Yes.
and so this is going to be exhibits 120 through 136. And what did you do when you got to the garage?
I initially took some more photos of the vehicle.
And what else did you do?
My sergeant at the time, he tried to take apart the front driver door, and when he did, the projectile fell out on the driver's door.
And you take photographs of that?
I did, and then I collected it.
I'm going to go and show you exhibits 120 through 136.
Yes, these are the photos I took at Fifth Avenue.
We'd like to move to evidence exhibit, and of which vehicle?
This is the Honda Accord.
We're moving to evidence exhibits 120 through 136.
Over for your subjection will be admitted as 120 through 136.
We can publish those to the jury.
Make notes.
All right, what are we looking at here, exhibit 120?
This is just a photo of the back of the vehicle on that one.
Exhibit 121?
This is the front driver door, with the scale still on it from, Oklahoma Wilson.
Exhibit 122?
He started to take apart the door, and, you can see the projectiles on the floor.
123?
So that's just a close-up of it,
124?
and that's where I picked it up. Photographed it before I packaged it.
125?
And this is just a, picture of what it looked like afterwards.
126?
I noticed there appeared to be a defect up in that grab bar, so I photographed that. Yes,
127?
and just a close-up of that bar.
128?
And I just took a few more shots of the vehicle. This is the passenger side.
129?
And just a shot from the rear area showing the back of the driver's seat and passenger seat.
130?
This is a close-up of the front passenger headrest.
What are you showing here?
It appeared as if there was a defect there.
When you say defect, you're saying a hole?
Yes.
131?
And just another shot of the passenger area.
132?
This is a shot of the front area. It appears as if there's another defect on the passenger headrest.
Right there?
Yes.
133?
And this is a close-up of it.
134?
It appeared, that's where that grab bar was. It appeared as if there was a hole up there as well.
135?
And just another shot of the hood of the vehicle.
136?
And this is where the projectile has hit it from the inside, but it's not exited that area.
Have the lights in, Lisa. And so the projectile?
334.
It's going to be the projectile from the door. If I can show you exhibit 334 and ask to recognize exhibit 334.
Yes, this is the projectile that fell on the floor from the front driver door.
Would I can move exhibit, and you collected that?
Yes.
And when you collected it, what did you do with it?
I put it in a small envelope and then packaged it in this larger one.
If I can move exhibit 334 in as evidence,
Any objection?
Done.
E334.
and we'd like permission to publish that to the jury.
May step down, I'm sure.
So this is the projectile that fell onto the floor in our bag.
And when you collected that and sent that back to KD, was that available for Sergeant Dawson to examine?
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. Now, once you finished processing the vehicle there at the garage, what did you do with the vehicle?
It was towed to our impound lot.
And why was it towed to the impound lot?
Well, that's where all of our vehicles go once we're done processing them.
And so did there come a time that you decided to go back out and further examine the vehicle?
Yes.
And what were you going back out to further examine the vehicle?
We were going to try to document the path that the bullets took once they entered the vehicle.
Now, how can you do that?
We used rods and strings.
And you take photographs to show that?
Yes.
It's going to be exhibits 137 to 152. If I can approach and show you exhibits 137 to 152. Do you recognize those exhibits?
Yes, these are the photos I took at the impound lot.
I'd like to move into evidence exhibits 137 to 152.
Same objection.
Ms. Young.
Over Penn's objection, will be admitted as exhibits 137 through 152.
I'd like permission to publish these to the jury.
You may vote.
All right. Thank you. What are we looking at here at exhibit 137?
So before we did anything, I just went ahead and documented the entire vehicle again. So just we did the driver's side.
138,
This is the front of the vehicle,
139,
the passenger side,
140.
a shot of the rear and passenger side.
So again, this is going to be the victim's vehicle,
Yes,
same vehicle we saw on Wilson.
yes.
141,
And just the rear of the vehicle.
142,
So this is where we started using the rod and string to document the flight path of the one that came in through the trunk area. And if you can see, the string is leading toward that console,
143,
and just a better shot of the string leading into the console.
144,
Just a shot of the passenger side showing where we started putting these rods and string.
145,
And just another shot of the passenger side.
146,
And this is showing a string, the one to the left, it has the string, and the one to the right has the rod through it.
what's the significance of the difference?
I mean, there's really no difference, we just couldn't get the string, we just needed something to attach it to.
But it's two different holes.
Correct, two different ones.
147,
This is a shot of, there was one that went into the passenger door that we had not seen before because the windshield, that windshield had been hanging out the side of it.
148,
And this is showing the one in the passenger door as well as the hood.
so this one here with the hood, what's the, I guess, the direction of that bullet? Is that going into the car or coming out of the car?
It's going into the vehicle.
The one on the door, is that going into the car or coming out of the car?
It's going into the door.
149,
So this, you can see in the rear, the pink string is leading, there's one that leads across to the other window, and then there's one that is leading into the back side of the driver's seat, and then comes out the front and into that door, the front door.
is that where you recovered the projectile?
Yes.
150,
And this is just a view from the front of the vehicle.
show that rod there,
Yes.
the direction. 151,
And this is just kind of a closer view of where the path of the bullet.
152,
Just a closer shot of how it came through that front driver's seat and into the door.
then did you go back a second time
We did, after discovered that the front passenger door had a defect, I went back out with Sergeant Dalton and several of my coworkers to try to retrieve, the projectile that was in that door.
This is gonna be exhibit 153 through 181.
No, it's the same objection, but I believe that.
These have trajectory rods too.
They did
Yes.
not.
Okay.
Oh, did not.
Over defense objection, or if she can authenticate or whatever.
If I can approach and show you, and did you take photographs when you went back out there?
Yes.
If I can show you exhibits 153 through 181.
Yes, these are the photos I took the second time in Home.
If I can move exhibits 153 through 181 in as evidence.
Over previous objection will be 153 to 181.
And I permission to publish these to the jury.
You may.
Exhibit 153.
So I just went ahead and took overall shots of the vehicle again. This is the passenger side.
154.
Just a shot into the car, it appears there's another defect, well, a defect to that front driver headrest there, as well as the roof of the car.
155.
And that's just a close-up of the front, I'm sorry, the driver headrest. I'm not sure if I said passenger or driver.
156.
Just a closer shot of the roof area.
157.
That is the front passenger headrest with defects in it.
158.
And just a closer shot of that.
159.
I decided to go ahead and dig into both of the headrests, and I pulled that from the front driver headrest. That's the jacket that goes on the projectile.
Now, what made you decide to dig into the headrest? Why did you want to do that?
Well, since they had the defects, I just decided to go ahead and see if there was anything inside of them.
What were you expecting to find?
Well, I really didn't expect to find, I didn't know, to be honest, but I was hoping we could find some evidence.
Bullet fragments or
Yes.
160?
And this is that front passenger headrest, and I just wanted to show why the bullet, why it would have fragmented. I believe it hit that metal piece and fragmented it to several pieces.
161?
This was the front passenger window. We went ahead and pulled it on up out of the door. It was partially out, but we went ahead and pulled it further up and discovered that it appears as if that defect that went into the door, went into the windows, it was partially rolled down.
162?
And this is a close-up shot of that defect.
163?
And we kind of just placed it back over the door to show the path of it.
164?
This is some kind of, I don't know what this is, it's some kind of metal piece that was inside. We took apart the passenger door and this was inside, so the projectile obviously went through that.
165?
And this is a shot of the door after we've taken off, I guess, that exterior kind of frame to it.
166?
There's a part of a projectile inside where all that glass is.
167?
And this is just once I pulled it out, close up.
168?
There was actually more in there, so took another photograph.
169?
And if you can see that middle, that gray piece down there, there's another piece. And that's when I pulled it out.
171?
Looks like just another shot of that passenger door.
172?
Another shot of the exterior of the door, passenger door.
173?
And, we're just trying to kind of show the angle that it came up.
174?
And just, kind of an overhead view of that angle.
So what is that? Front to back?
Yes.
175?
We had previously tried to get the hood up, I believe, back at Fifth Avenue, and we're not able to do it. And we had a different person try to get it up this time, and, he was able to raise the hood.
Now, why did you want the hood raised?
We were trying to look and see where that one that went in the hood, had ended up, or what happened there.
176?
So that looks like where it kind of ripped through the metal, and, we were unable to locate anything from that.
177?
This was a close-up shot of that, the window that was in the front passenger door.
178?
And I just took another shot of, the rear passenger door.
179?
And a close-up of those details.
180?
That is the rear driver
Now,
door.
were you able to determine if this was an entrance or an exit?
That appears to be an exit.
Why is that?
The entrance in glass is normally smooth, and the exit will have kind of a cone shape, and this is the cone shape that I'm talking about, where it was exited.
And that's what's shown here in Exhibit 181?
Yes.
Almost finished. And so you said you collected those fragments?
Yes.
If I can show you Exhibit 335. Recognize Exhibit 335?
Yes, this is the fragments that I recovered from the passenger door.
Would like to move Exhibit 335 in as evidence?
Any objection?
No.
355?
And you recognize Exhibit 336?
Yes, this is part of that jacket that I recovered from the front driver headrest.
I'd like to move Exhibits 336 in as evidence.
Any objection?
No.
Permission to publish? You publish those to the jury.
So these are from the front passenger door. And this is from the front driver headrest.
So you told us about Exhibit 3:09.
337 snacks.
3:37. Oh, I'm sorry, this is 3:08. Going back to 3:08 for Mr. Colt. Mark. You recognize exhibit 3:08?
Yes, this is a diagram I came up with based on a conversation I had with Investigator Cook. This is the believed path of the victim as he drove from Tarleton to Wilson.
Like to move, and you prepared this diagram?
Yes.
Would like to move exhibit 3:08 in as evidence?
Any objection?
Yes, Your Honor. Should we approach?
Sure.
You responded to Tarleton,
Yes.
and showing you this diagram. Is Tarleton located on this diagram?
Yes, it is.
And what is it that you collected from Tarleton?
I recovered all the shell casings from Tarleton.
And you responded to Wilson?
Correct.
And what did you do at Wilson?
I observed the victim's vehicle and took swabs
And do you see on this diagram where the victim's vehicle ended up at?
yes, I do.
And where is that?
It was right here at 2530 Wilson Avenue.
And so based upon your involvement in this case, do you have an opinion as to the victim's path?
That would have been the most direct path.
Your
What
Honor,
would have been?
I would object. Same.
Well, hold on, let me hear the rest of her testimony before I rule on this exhibit. Go ahead.
Well, based upon your experience in this case, do you have an opinion as to the path that the victim took before he ended up down there at 2530 Wilson Avenue?
Well, I mean, based on if he started out at Austin East, that would have been the most direct path.
You know, that's speculation, Your Honor.
What would have been the most direct path?
Him traveling down Tarleton, making a left on Harrison, and then a right on Wilson.
Just show me where Austin East is on the diagram.
It's right here.
And where did you find the casings?
The casings were between Hembry and Houston, right in this area.
On Tarleton, okay.
Yes.
And then where was the Honda when it came to rest when you found it?
It was over here.
Yeah, that one right there. Okay.
In addition, were you also aware of a video taken from Mr. Colt's house?
I believe there was a video taken on, at Tarleton, in between Houston and Harrison.
So in light of all of, in light
Judge,
of
I'm going to
evidence,
object
yeah.
again, and I'm going to ask that we continue this outside the
Well, the
presence of the
question
court.
I have, did you put the red line on there, or did you just draw the first straight half of the?
I believe we told the lady in crime analysis what it did happen. She put it on there.
Did you tell them to do that? or
Yes,
You
yes.
did, okay. And you did that because what Ms. Fitzgerald just asked you about, right?
Right, and based on what I had learned from Investigator Cook.
All right, let me send the jury out, and then we'll have a legal session about it. So y'all can leave your notebooks in your chairs, don't discuss the case among yourselves. Go also see you here in a minute. Okay, folks, have a seat. All right, who wants to go first on your objection?
Okay, Your Honor.
Matt? Okay.
Your Honor, I believe that the witnesses testified that she doesn't have actual personal knowledge as to the route of the Honda. She responded to the scene. She collected casings on the beginning portion of Tarleton. Now, we haven't gotten into the specifics here, but this beginning portion of Tarleton where the casings were collected is the first 500 feet or approximately that's depicted on this map. She doesn't seem to have any personal knowledge related to the video of Mr. Culp. She's gotten that secondhand from other individuals. She's been told the route of Mr. Freeman by Investigator Cook, and then they've instructed someone to place it onto this map. So I think she can indicate on a blank map where she collected casings. I think she can indicate on a blank map without this arrow where she responded on Wilson. But I don't think that this is appropriate testimony through Miss.
So it's the red route.
It is.
That you're really thinking.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, anything to add to that?
Yeah, just that, I was at that kind of meeting, I think of the picture, and she did testify that she got evidence from other people and she believed the route, so that's speculation. I'm not sure if she actually testified that she saw the video of the doorbell camera. She said she was aware of it, but she didn't say that she saw it, so I'm not sure how that will play into the mapping of the route, Your Honor.
All right, Joe, what do you think?
So I would say that I think that it's appropriate to introduce this map because Mr. Culp has already identified his house, and that you see the car traveling down Carlton. She's already testified that the case that she recovered will be between Hembry and Houston. That's going to be from her photographs. And then she recovers, she goes to the crash scene at 2530 Wilson Avenue.
I mean, I don't think there's any other way for the car to get where it was on Wilson Avenue from Austin East other than that route right there, especially when you got Mr. Culp's house right there, almost in the middle there. And so, I mean, I don't see the objection to that. I don't understand. It's not speculation. It certainly is the state's theory that it got there. I don't know what other theory there might be, especially when the defense is there's no proof that we were the ones that did it. I can't imagine there's an objection that the car left Austin East High School, which we have on video at a specific time, and passing Mr. Culp's house, which we have on video at a specific time, with shell casings in the area, and the car ending up where we know it ended up. And so I don't think I understand the objection, but I think it's sufficient the way they outlined it. She prepared the diagram based upon the evidence they found. If the defense wants to argue to the jury that there's no eyewitness that saw the car here, and the state wants to argue we're just connecting the dots, I think y'all can put that argument to the jury and see if they think that route is not supported by the evidence. But I think it's sufficient to admit it, so I'm going to admit it over defense objection. So let's go ahead and take a recess. We've been in here for a while, folks. So we'll take 10 minutes, come back and continue with the state's brief.
that one, did we?
If y'all need any of these, when y'all to go to do cross, they're all in this box.
Look, hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. Sure is nothing wrong. You know what? I was looking at my feeds just randomly, and there was a picture of me and Wesley.
It's my favorite
Pointing at each
picture.
other, and you're going.
It's my favorite picture. I told Judge Sword forever
It's
ago.
my screensaver for my Zoom call.
I told him I'm getting that as a retirement gift. I'm getting it framed for him.
Yeah.
My caption of that is,
You
I
see
could have
that?
gone to med school.
Best picture.
What was it?
I could have gone to med school.
It's a picture of him.
No, your expression is just so priceless.
I show all students a picture of me when I first got on the bench, and then I show them a picture of me now, and I say, and then I show that picture, I say, this is why I wouldn't have been doing that.
That was the first round.
Pictures of Obama. I mean, it's such a
All right, Merry Christmas.
She's a good egg.
All right, welcome back, folks. Thanks for that break. I understand we have a couple of preliminary matters to address before the jury comes back in.
Please.
All right, who wants to go first?
Your Honor, with the state, we're going to seek to introduce that exhibit there, 308. Going back to what we brought up with Germany Heinz's testimony in juvenile court, this is exhibit 25.
That's the one that was used in juvenile.
Yes, sir. And so,
Mr. Warren's, black markings on it.
yes, and so what the state was going to do is we were going to ask Ted Warren if she recognized this exhibit and if she made these markings on this exhibit in juvenile court, and if she recognizes what is shown here on the X.
What is the X? Who put the X on there, Germany Heinz?
Officer
Officer Parnell, but that's where the crash scene was that she responded.
This is the exhibit that we raised that's been marked by 3 individuals.
And so, the reason why I guess the state thinks it is admissible because Mr. Hines marked here and here.
All right. And what's the defense objection on this?
We just raised the same objection we previously raised.
So what I'm gonna let you do is I'm gonna let Ms. Warren identify her markings on there for that purpose. And I don't think you need to get her to talk about, we've already got that Wilson Avenue one.
Okay.
For ID purposes. And then when we come to address this during the trial, you will have had her identify her markings for identification purposes. So
Yes, sir.
you can't introduce it through her, but you can get her to indicate her markings on that.
Yes, sir.
And Judge, we haven't, I don't believe we've only briefly talked about the transfer hearing so far in front of the jury. Just, are you gonna give an how are you gonna wait and do the instruction when we actually do his testimony? Or how are we gonna address that? Because I know we kind of talked about how we.
Yeah, I would give them an instruction before we introduce the recording of his testimony. I don't think we're doing that today, right?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's really, I don't recall if y'all touched on an opening, you may have, but I was
It's
gonna
more the
wait.
IR, you explained it a couple of times.
Okay. I'll address it when we get to the state's.
Okay, so we're just gonna refer to this as you previously testified regarding this, and you marked.
Oh, for that, yeah. So let me show you this.
Yep.
That was marked in juvenile court as exhibit number 25. Do you recognize this exhibit? Yes. During the transfer hearing, you testified previously at the transfer hearing. Did you mark on this exhibit? Yes. Show me what your markings are, and then that's all I think she has to do at this point. All right. What's next?
Aaron, next, it's going to be a similar situation that we had with the fragment recovered from the other vehicle. And so we believe that we can show through this officer.
You talking about the white van?
Yes, sir. This officer responded and collected this casing from a victim. And so I'm not going to ask her where this bullet came from, but we think that it's relevant to show that she collected this item, and then Investigator Dalton examined the item.
That's not the one from the white van. Where's
No.
that from?
So this is going to be from this maroon Hodge ridge line. And so the way we're going to connect it up is that the next witness, Nikki, is the one who went, and she's the one who photographed the ridge line. And what I anticipate she's going to testify is that she told the vehicle owner that if you get the car repaired and they collect that bullet, then call us back and we'll come and get it. So I'm not trying to get that in through hearsay. It's just I anticipate she's going to say that this is the information I told. This is the direction, the command that I told this witness to do. And then this witness is saying that I responded to this scene and I collected this bullet.
Okay. And did that end up connecting to any of the weapons?
Yes.
Okay. So I think what you can do through Ms. Warren is say, I responded to this scene and I collected this item. And I think that's as far as you get with her.
Well, and Judge, we do have that chain of custody, if I could see the envelope, we do have that same chain of custody argument, because this one is much farther removed than the one we addressed previously. So this was collected on 3/3, would that be correct? Mm-hmm. So we're talking about more than 2 weeks later, this was collected, and it wasn't even as though she went to the car repair place and they gave her the bullet. The car repair place gave it to, I believe, Mr. Holloway. Mr. Holloway took it home with him. They responded and collected it more than 2 weeks after the fact. I think that's problematic that that be admitted in this case.
Yeah, at this point, I'm sure they're going to try to. At this point, they're not going to try to admit it through Ms. Warren, but I am going to let her testify that she collected it.
For identification.
So it's not coming in right now. So we'll mark it for ID, say what she did, and then as the proof develops, I'll determine whether or not it should come in. But right now, I certainly agree with you, it doesn't come in, I don't need to hear more before I can determine whether or not it comes in at all. But
Thank you, Your
I
Honor.
think she can ask her about it.
337.
337?
All right, state ready for the jury?
Just about, Your Honor, so this is 337, and so the exhibit from juvenile court, I'd like to make that, is it 338?
338, okay.
And so for the record, I'm going to ask that exhibit 25 be 330, exhibit 335, exhibit 25 from juvenile court be exhibit 338.
My exhibit is.
Yes, state's ready, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Matthews, you
Yeah,
ready?
we're ready, Your Honor.
Ms. Robinette, you ready?
Yeah.
Bring them on in. Everybody may be seated. Does the state ready to call jury?
State ready, Your Honor.
Ms. Matthews, you ready to call?
Please, Your Honor.
Ms. Robinette? Welcome back, folks. Thanks for that break. Ms. Thorne, you understand you're still on the road?
Yes, Your Honor.
You may resume your directive.
And again, showing you exhibit 308, you recognize exhibit 308.
Yes.
And what do you recognize exhibit 308 to be?
This is a diagram of the path that was believed to have been driven above it.
And did you cause this diagram to be created?
Yes.
And this is a diagram of what area of town?
This is
A diagram of map, I'm sorry.
East Knoxville.
And does this map show where Austin East High School is located?
Yes, it's in this corner right here.
Does this map show where the casings were that you collected?
Yes, the casings were between Hembry and Houston.
And does this map show where the crash scene was that you responded to?
Yes, the crash scene is over here at 2530 Wilson.
We'd like to move exhibit 308 in as evidence.
Over defense objection, I'm going to receive that. Folks, the defense objects to the red line that Ms. Warren had them create on there because it's the state's theory that is the path that the car took. I'm admitting this with the line on there with the caveat that that is what the state's theory is, the path that the car took. If you believe the evidence does not support the state's theory, then you disregard the red line, but that's just what their theory is. The defense takes objection to that, but I'm going to let the exhibit in, and then y'all decide whether or not that's the path the car took or not, okay? So you may continue, John.
And if it's okay for her to step down and let her describe what this map is.
You may step down.
I'll hold it.
Do you need the, is it easy?
Oh, I was just going to.
Okay.
If you want to just show them the locations we're talking about. Where's Austin East High School?
It's right here.
And what is the side street there? What is that?
This is Hembry, this is Tarleton, where the shell casings were, they were from this end to this end. So Tarleton continues on down, and then the crash scene was over here.
And who's a
Markers. You go.
black marker? Can you show us on this diagram where, first of all the casings that you recovered?
Yes.
Generally. And then the cases that you believe to be relevant to this case. So for the record, you used a black marker to circle those?
Yes.
So that's going to be 308. And while you're standing there, showing you exhibit 338, do you recognize this as being the exhibit number 25 that you previously testified to at the juvenile transfer hearing?
Yes.
Can I see there for a second? Very well.
And do you recognize this map as being the one that you put the black lines on,
Yes.
the black circles on?
Yes.
Did you also put this black circle here?
Yes.
And what was the purpose of this black circle here?
On a later date, I had gone to a residence over there, and there was a vehicle that had a bullet defect that another tech had photographed, and he had to take it to a repair shop.
Oh, I'm sorry, you know, so that was the other address you went to.
Yes,
But we're gonna talk about that, and then these are the two circles for the cases.
yes.
So we'd like to make 338 ID on.
ID at this point.
We approach.
Sure.
So you were telling us about going to a different address.
Yes.
Tell us about going to that address.
I was up in Major Palms one day, and
Now tell us what was said,
okay.
but was there a call made?
Yes, they informed, well,
So there was a call made, you're fine.
yes,
You're fine.
there was a call made, and I was,
As a result of that call,
as a result of that call,
What did you do?
I responded to an address on Tarleton.
and where was that address at in relationship to the casings that you had recovered?
It was down on the other side of Tarleton.
And when you went to that address, what did you observe at that address?
I observed there was a gentleman came out of the house. I observed a Honda Ridgeline in the driveway, and he handed me a little clear baggie with a projectile on it.
And what did you do with that projectile?
I took it back to our office and packaged it.
Showing you Exhibit 337, do you recognize Exhibit 337?
Yes.
What is Exhibit 337?
This is the envelope that I put the projectile in.
I'd like to make that ID only at this point.
337. 337 for ID.
Now, this Honda Ridgeline, can you describe the Honda Ridgeline? What color was it?
It was maroon.
Are you aware of whether or not another tech went out and had taken photographs of this Ridgeline?
Yes.
Showing you, going back to Exhibit 308, can you mark on 308 where, back to the black markers, where that house was, the general area? And once you collected that bullet, what did you then do with that bullet?
I went back to our office and packaged it, and then submitted it to our property unit.
And that would have been available for Sergeant Dawson to examine.
Yes, correct.
This address you responded to on Charleston, that's located here in Knox County.
Yes.
What date was that for the last house?
Is it on the envelope?
It is. It was March 3rd.
And just for, and so the person you responded to, what was his name?
Jimmy Holloway.
Was he an African American male?
He was, yes.
Passes. Who wants to go first? Mr. Robinette?
Yeah, I have the projection too.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Warren, my name is Roy Robinette. I'll be asking you a few questions, okay? And what time did you arrive at the Tarleton?
I believe it was right around 4 o'clock.
Okay. And how long does it take for you to arrive here?
I remember I was in West Knoxville. It probably took me 15 minutes because it was a Friday and it was getting to be rush hour traffic.
Okay. So when you arrived, were there officers at the scene already?
Yes.
Okay. And do you know how many officers were there?
I don't know that. I know there were quite a few.
Was the area secured by the officers?
Yes, they had police cruisers blocking both ends of the street.
Now, this is a photo that has been in an exhibit. I'm not sure which one, but now, right here, this is Houston, correct? Going this direction?
Correct.
And this is going Tarleton. Right?
Yes.
Now, you see right here, that's your number one for the bullet casing, right?
Correct.
Did you place this one here?
No, like I said, when I had initially arrived, the officers, I believe it was Tom Epps, had already started placing placards down.
Okay. But you took a picture of this, correct?
Correct.
And then this placards for, another picture close up, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Is that right?
Correct, yes.
Now, these casing you identify as the 45 gap, is that correct?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, so how many of these, is that 9 altogether?
Yes.
Okay. Now, in here, you see right here, you stated there was a number 22, right there, number 22.
Yes.
And is it fair to say that it's going to be right here at this location?
I believe so. If you could go back, maybe.
So which one do you need?
Well, I guess I would have to see where 22 was again, but I believe it was somewhere in that area.
So on this identification, this one would be it's an evidence, it's an identification.
Identification.
Yeah. So right here, you listed 22, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and it's near number 7.
Okay, yes.
So it would be fair to say number 22 should be right here.
Yes.
Okay. But if you say that the reason why 22 was not there because you or another officer did not locate a shell casing there.
I believe he had already put placards down, at least until placard 7. So I believe when I arrived, I went ahead and took my own placards and placarded the rest of the street. And then I began my photos.
Okay. So you took your photos, but placards number 22 is not being placed yet, correct?
Correct.
But you see around the area, I don't see another shell casing, do you?
I can't tell from this photo.
But do you see anything here right here, around this area, where 22 should be, shell casing?
Can you zoom in again?
Sure.
Around number 7?
This right here?
Yes.
How about this? Let's go do the shell casing 22, and you can see how it was photographed. Right there. Is that grass, is that correct?
Yes, I think I would need to look, do I have another mid-range photo somewhere that shows all of them with 22 in it?
I don't believe I was provided one with the 22 in it, Your Honor, so.
I guess, if you don't have one, probably that's after this.
So do you need?
There should have been one as I walked back up the street.
So this is from the other side of the angle, on the other
Yes,
side.
yes.
Right here. Well, this is a better one? If I zoom in,
It may be over in front of 6. There's one right in front of
Is
it.
that
Yes,
just that one
it
right there?
may have been that one.
okay.
If you'll hit that little arrow up here in the top screen here. Hit the arrow there and it'll bring up those controls.
Can you control that?
Yeah, there you go. Go down there and hit clear. All right, you make it.
Okay, so you believe that's right there? Right here?
It appears to be.
Okay. But in this photograph, right here, so you're saying that's it?
I believe so.
So you believe that's noticeable right here?
I mean, shell casings are, to be honest, they kind of blend in most of the time,
So, I want to look at this. Now, shell casing, this is the 40, you said testified this is 45. So number one, seems to be damaged, correct?
yes, it appears to be.
And you testified that it was ran over?
Usually when we see that kind of damage, it's an indication that it's been run over by a vehicle.
Yes, but you don't know, you just based on what you believe, right?
Correct.
You don't know if someone stepped on it, but it has been damaged by some force.
Yes.
So same thing with number two, it's been damaged, correct?
Yes.
Number three?
Yeah, it may have a little bit of damage on the left side.
Okay. So number four, number five?
Yes, they've both been damaged.
Number six?
It looks, based on the photograph, to be intact.
Number seven?
That one appears to be intact.
Number eight?
From what I can see, it looks intact.
Number
That one
22?
looks to be damaged.
And this is the 762
Yes.
casing? Now this 762 casing, you'll see that. So the 762 casings are over here, correct?
Correct.
And these are 45.
Correct.
And how many of the 762 casings did you?
I believe there were 7, I believe.
And the 72 casings are number 9, is that correct?
I'm sorry.
It started with number 9, is that right?
Can you show me 8 again?
Sure.
Yes, it looks like it's right with 9.
Okay, and then 10,
Yes.
does this one seem to be damaged to you?
Possibly.
And number 11,
I can't tell from this photo.
number 21,
That one looks like it may have a bit of damage.
number 12,
That one looks like it's intact.
and 13.
Those look intact.
Okay. Now, these casings have been damaged, and you testified it ran over, so you don't know if these casings were where it was originally dropped or was placed.
Correct.
So you don't really know where it was originally.
Correct.
Now, if you look back here, the casing are spraying out all over the place. From this photograph, can you tell where the potential shooter can be standing from these casings?
I don't know.
Okay. And you have casing number 1 that was way up here. Is that somebody moved that one, or was that kicked, or how did it get here?
I'm sorry, was it moved or?
Yeah, was it moved?
That was where the placard was when I arrived, so I can't say. It was there when I
So all you know is that when you arrived at the scene, that casing was here, correct?
Correct,
So you don't know when it was placed here, am I right?
correct.
Okay. Same thing with the other casing, the 9mm and the 380s. You don't know when it was there, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And this right here, you testified that there's a bullet defect right here, correct?
Correct.
And this, like a Blazer?
Yes.
Yes. And that vehicle is located down here, is that right?
Correct, it was toward the tail end of, or toward, Henry.
Okay, so it was nowhere near the shell casing that we found.
Correct.
Okay, so now that bullet hole right there, did you recover any kind of bullet from the vehicle?
No, I didn't. Once I was, informed that it was older damage, I left it alone.
Okay. And so this one is unrelated to the case that we're here today.
From what I understand, but I had already started, I had already documented before I was informed of that.
Now, you also photographed, that was right here, but this is the house that you saw a hole on the side, is that correct?
Correct.
And this is right in front of the Blazer. And
Correct.
that's down the street from the shell casing you found.
Correct.
And this is the hole right here.
Yes.
Did you talk to the homeowners?
No, I did not.
Okay, so did you go back and see if there was a bullet core in there?
I did not.
Okay. And you, so during this whole, when you took pictures, did you fill out a report? A forensic report?
I wrote out a report after I did all this.
So in your report, today you testified you found, sorry, you found 7.762 casings, but in your report you indicate only 4. Is there a discrepancy between the report and what you found?
Are you looking at the PIR, the property inventory?
No, I'm looking at I'm looking at the forensic unit crime scene request for service report, the one that you filled out. Do you remember that report?
No.
If I show you a copy, will you recognize it? May I approach you?
I may have missed a line. If you look at my PIR, you should be able to see, if we've got a copy of that. I may have missed a line putting my PIR, which is a property inventory report. It's what we fill out when we have evidence that we turn into our property unit. So I believe on my PIR I had, so I may just not have transferred it over to my report. That's what it looks like.
So the forensic service report is incorrect, correct?
Possibly.
I believe that you did testify you found a bullet from the driver's side of Mr. Freeman's vehicle, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And that, did you do a DNA swab on that bullet?
No.
Okay. And that bullet, was that the bullet that went through the trunk?
Yes.
Okay. And was that the bullet that went through the driver's seat?
Yes.
Okay. So And that bullet landed on the driver's door, correct?
Correct.
But don't you think it's important to determine if that was the bullet that went through Mr. Freeman?
Well, based on the path that we believe it took through that vehicle, there would have been no other option.
But you don't know because you didn't do a DNA.
Well, I suppose, but once it fell on our floor, it was going to be contaminated as well.
So at that point, you just assumed it was, right?
What, contaminated?
No, I assume that was the bullet that went through Mr. Freeman.
Yes.
But you don't know.
Based on what I observed in my experience, that would have been the one that went through him.
Now, the shell casing you collected, did you collect the shell casing yourself?
My sergeant was there with me, and as we walked back up the street together, and he held the envelopes open for me, and I picked them up and put them in there.
Okay. So do you put multiple casings in one envelope or just
No.
one at a time?
Just one at a time.
Okay. And when you collect the casing, did you dust for prints on the casings?
No, I did not.
Okay. And do you test for DNAs on the casing as well?
No. Once the gun is fired, the casing is subjected to an extreme amount of heat, and that can destroy fingerprints as well as DNA.
Well, you testify that you don't know when the casing was there, correct?
Correct.
So you don't know if someone had picked up the casing and put it there, am I right?
Correct.
So I have you on it.
Ms. Mathis?
Just briefly, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Ms. Moore. My name is Ashley Mathis, and I represent Mr. Davis. If I could approach the witness, please, Your Honor. So you responded to Tarleton Avenue on February 12th, correct?
Correct.
And you began processing the scene, correct?
Correct.
And you noted that the majority of the casings that you collected related to this case were in this area, correct?
We believe the majority of the casings related to this case were up here.
Right. So you would agree with me that all the casings you collected related to this case were between the beginning of Tarleton Avenue and the stop sign at the intersection of Houston Street, correct?
Well, at the time, we didn't know what was related, but I collected all the casings.
Certainly. And you collected other casings that you later determined to be unrelated to this case, right? So that's what this large circle is.
Correct.
But the casings relevant to this case are prior to this intersection, correct?
Oh, correct.
And you would agree that approximately, there's a scale on this, correct?
Correct.
And you would agree that this is less than probably 500 feet.
Correct.
So this is a very short portion of street that we're talking about,
Yes.
correct? So your diagram and your map is very zoomed in, correct? We can see
yes.
the detail of the houses, correct?
Correct.
We can see that there's, even on this short section of street, there's approximately a dozen houses, correct?
Correct.
So you would agree that it would only take a few seconds to go from Austin East High School to the end of this intersection, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And you said that you have a procedure for collecting evidence where placards are placed, correct?
Correct.
And you individually package the shell casings in these cases, correct?
Yes.
And that is because these casings contain markers, correct?
Okay, correct.
They can contain markers.
What do you mean by markers?
So the reason that, let me rephrase, the reason that you individually collect these casings and package them individually is to preserve the integrity of that casing, correct?
Correct.
But you would agree in this case, there was evidence at the scene that these casings may have been moved.
Well, I mean, being run over by a vehicle, possibly, yes.
Yeah, and we can't know how far they might have been moved when they were run over by a vehicle, correct?
Correct.
And we can also agree that a number of these were damaged, correct?
Correct.
So that could have impacted the integrity of whatever markings might be on that casing, correct?
Are you talking about, well, I'm not a ballistics expert.
Sure.
So I believe you'll have to bring that up at the start of talking.
Would you agree with me that if a car ran over a shell casing on pavement, it might make a scratch on the casing?
Normally the head stamp, I mean, it could.
Sure.
Normally the head stamp, from what I've seen, normally it's the head stamp.
Yeah, and I'm not asking you about head stamps. I'm saying,
Okay.
would you agree that damage to a casing could affect any markings on the casing?
Possibly.
Thank you. I don't have anything further. Thank you.
Your director?
Just want to make sure we're clear about, you told us about the number of cases that you collected at the scene.
Yes,
Is this the diagram? This is exhibit 309
yes,
that you created.
yes.
And this diagram, how many 762 casings did you collect?
There were 7.
And do you have that written here at the corner?
Yes,
And do you have the 762 casings documented here in the street?
yes.
How many 45 caliber casings?
There were 9.
And do you have that documented here in the corner?
Yes,
And do you have that shown there in the street?
yes,
And do you have all the 45 calibers in green
yes,
and the 762s in purple?
yes.
Now, as far as lifting prints or DNA from casings, why is that something that you do not do?
Like I said, the heat from when it is expelled from the firearm, it can destroy the fingerprints. You've also got the factor that they're rolling around on the ground. Fingerprints are extremely fragile. If I deposited one here, I could easily just swap it with my finger and it would be gone. So beyond the fact of the heat destroying anything, these shell casings are rolling around on the ground and they've been run over by vehicles. DNA, same thing. It's very, it's almost impossible to get DNA.
I'm going to object to this witness testifying about DNA when it's not her area of expertise. Just
Yeah,
about.
I think you opened the door, or one of y'all did. I think Sister Robinette did. So overall objection made.
Touch DNA is very, very fickle. I mean, it's not something that's that reliable. And like I said, you've got the same thing, the heat, rolling around on the ground, vehicles running over. You're going to be dealing with, even if we did get something, you're dealing with extreme contamination at that point.
So how long have you said you've been with KPD?
12 years.
And so have you processed other crime scenes besides this one?
Yes.
And have you had experience in processing crime scenes?
Yes.
And do you bring that knowledge with you to any crime scene that you process?
Yes.
Is that what controls what you do and do not do?
Yes.
Have you ever been able to lift any prints from a expelled casing?
No, I have attempted probably a couple of hundred, and I've never been able to get anything.
That's all.
Ms. Robinette?
Oh, yeah.
Ms. Metz?
Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Warren. Have a good afternoon. Everybody okay for another witness? Next witness.
Nikki Salter.
May.
Your Honor, if we could approach while the witness is
can have a seat. Ms. Sauls, will you come up here? We're gonna have a pre-out hearing before we present your testimony. Raise your right hand. You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, help you God?
Yes, sir.
Have a seat, ma'am.
For the record, could you identify yourself, please?
Yes, my name is Nicole Sauls.
With whom are you employed?
I'm employed with the Knoxville Police Department with the City of Knoxville.
In what capacity are you employed with that department?
I work in the forensics unit as a crime scene technician.
How long have you been so employed?
I've been employed with the police department approximately almost 6 years. For 4.5, I've been in the crime scene unit.
And you were employed in February of 2021.
That's correct.
Did there come a point in time on February 14th that you responded to 2720 Tarleton in Knoxville?
That's correct.
And was that with regards to a report of a damaged vehicle?
It was.
And the damage was believed to be caused by a bullet?
That's correct.
And in relationship to having been called to respond to that location, did you have an opportunity to take photographs of the vehicle that was alleged to have been damaged by bullet?
I did.
Did you have a conversation with the owner of that vehicle, Mr.
I did.
Holloway?
I did.
And in sum and substance, what did you and Mr. Holloway talk about in relationship to your inability to recover the projectile?
I was unable to recover the projectile due to the location of where it was in an inaccessible area of the rear passenger door. It was in between two metal pieces of the door. I was unable to obtain it at the time. I was advised on scene that the owner was going to get that fixed at a body shop or some type of shop, automotive shop. And I advised him at that time that he could, if the projectile was obtained, he could call us back and have us retrieve that from him.
And did you ultimately do that?
I did not collect the projectile.
Another member of your unit did?
That's correct.
Okay.
So, I'm sorry, when did you go out there to take the photos? What was the date?
On February 14th.
And you've had a chance to look at the photos that you took?
Yes, sir.
Do they fairly and accurately represent that which you encountered at that location?
Yes, sir, they do.
And in relationship to your inability to recover the projectile at that point in time, did you not have the tools or the operations in order to take that out of the car's door?
It was a combination of the material and not having the tools at the time, and just not having that capability to actually get into the vehicle where I could retrieve the projectile.
And the owner had indicated it was his desire to take that to a body shop to make that repair.
That's correct.
And so you relied upon his representation to you to have him do that and then notify the police department to retrieve the projectile.
That's correct.
And Rachel Warren's the one that,
Yes.
any other questions for her?
No.
All right, what's the defense objection?
Your Honor, I just.
I mean, I take it, I'm sorry.
Sure.
Just to be clear, what it is you're trying to get in is the photographs you took of the vehicle on the 14th, and then the projectile that Rachel Warren identified in her previous testimony. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, you're trying to get that into her.
Correct.
Sorry, now.
No, that's fine, Your Honor. We would just continue to object to the appropriate foundation and the chain of custody here. There's a shooting on 2/12. A phone call was made on 2/14 that there was a bullet defect. They responded, they couldn't retrieve it at that time. The owner had the vehicle repaired, recovered the bullet themselves, and then ultimately gave it to the Knoxville Police Department on 3/3. So I just don't think in any way there's sufficient chain of custody for this evidence to, one, to admit it, two, to link it back to this case.
And Ms. Robinette, you joined in this objection?
Yes, sir, same one.
All right, I think you're probably right. I need to think about it for a minute.
And then we would also just ask, Your Honor, if you do make that determination, I think we've just had an exhibit marked about where that was collected, and we've had photographs introduced. We haven't introduced photographs yet. We were going to do that through this
I think
witness.
that's probably okay.
So.
I think the problem, I probably got this projectile. So let me think about it. Let's take, General, you want to add something?
Can I just add, so what we're trying to do is we're trying to show this circumstantially. I understand if we have direct proof. So Mr. Holloway would be direct proof that this bullet, let's say he watched as a delivered bullet from his car. then that would be direct proof as to the chain of custody. But here, what we are seeking to do is to show chain of custody through circumstantial evidence. And so we think that circumstantially, we've shown there's a shooting in this area on 212. And so Rachel has, Ms. Warren has shown us where she went, she recovered the bullet from. That's why I asked her to race, because we got a picture of Mr. Holloway. And so she's described the vehicle. We believe Ms. Sauls is going to say this is the ridge line. You're going to see the indentation in the car. You're going to see a picture of an African-American male on the other side, which I suspect she's going to say Mr. Holloway. And so we've got that with her command of, I told Mr. Holloway when the bullet comes out to call us. And then the next is Rachel Holloway saying, Rachel Warren saying, I went to this address, African-American male with a ridge line, and I recovered this bullet.
And you're gonna later say that that bullet matched one of the problem is those guns weren't recovered, within 2 days. And so how do you know, like, even if that projectile was fired from that gun, how do you know it happened on the 12th? Maybe they came back and somebody else had that gun and shot it, or who knows. I think you got some problems.
Yeah, and I think that the purpose of chain of custody is to show that there's an integrous, unbroken, there's no circumstantial chain of custody. I don't think that has merit here. I think that the point is that people have handled this, people have had it, there are breaks in the chain. We don't have any proof of when it was recovered, where it was recovered, who recovered it, how long Mr. Holloway had it in his possession before he did it. Then we're going to be talking about the examination of the bullet, which is a microscopic examination. Did he take it out of the bag? Did he touch it? I mean, there are too many problems with this to establish an appropriate chain of custody for admission here.
All right, give me 10 minutes to think about it. Take a recess, we'll be back in a little bit. I think the pictures are okay, and what she did's okay. I'm just not sure the projector are
Because it's confusing, because it's like, I said to Josh, it's like, okay, so are they rolling on us still, or are they not rolling on us?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're not in.
But are they going to set up, you think? Probably not. If they're not.
Possibly 5.
Okay. Hey, John. Mic check, mic check. I can hear you. Hello. Court, well, you just perked me up a little. Court's been fun. Just hanging out here with you know, other stations. It's great meeting all the other people. Very. Oh yeah. Oh no, I don't think so. Yeah, so we just broke for, so that's, I will be adding that to the very end of like with the double, after I say about after my double box, I will be saying that we broke for recess, but we will be coming back for probably one last session. It's looking like probably it'll go a little bit past 5. So for the 6, we'll probably be live outside for 6 and everything, but that's why I left kind of the double box and for the 5 blank, because waiting to see if they're gonna in for the day. The accused entered a plea of not guilty. Brittany, the accused entered a plea of not guilty on the first full day of the trial. Teen suspects DeAndre Davis and Rashawn Jordan. Teen suspects DeAndre Davis and Rashawn Jordan. Okay. Yes, she did. Waiting on the 5. Well, yeah, that's why, yeah, she just told me she can't find a side. But that's the thing. That's why I was, like, getting back, telling y'all, like, and I told Sarah Pritchard also, there really is no sound for today. I asked the family, other people, there's just, we'll have to figure that out as the week goes on and stuff. Like, what to do with sound. And well, that's the thing. I don't. Well, DeAndre Davis and Rashawn Jordan, their lawyer is informing the family not to speak. And then Freeman's family, I asked the dad, but yeah. Well, we're definitely going to get them at one point, I feel like. There will be one point. But as far as like day to day, yeah. Like tomorrow, it may have to be a front and VO again, just updating on what's going on, because it's.
This happened, what, last year?
This happened 2 years ago.
So you're now pulling away any wounds that they've been gone.
Yeah.
And it's just hard for them to see it again, which you get it. Sorry, are they, I'm assuming they're talking to you back at the station?
Yeah, Zach was just talking to me about earlier, because Zach's been the one kind of helping me, and I've been calling since Greg is gone and everything.
Zach at least takes charge, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
So.
Zach's great.
He gets it.
Not just saying that because he can hear me.
We love you, Zach.
I don't even know if he's listening right now.
I don't know if he is either. I don't have IFB in because I've been. But yeah, that's just it. And it's all, there's nothing wrong with them throwing in those lines, but just be prepared to float it,
Yeah.
We'll have plenty of B-roll for sure tomorrow. But
Rashad Jordan, being charged with first degree murder and the accused entered a plea of not guilty on the first full day of the trial. DeAndre Davis and Rashawn Jordan are charged with first degree.
Well, I don't know if you know what I'm specifically referencing.
Chris, well, I feel like they did recess right then, so that we could all go hit 5 shots.
I know.
Hang on.
Just make sure when you stand about right there, because you cover up all that. That's not fun. You stand perfectly right there.
Right here.
I know it's kind of like hard, but.
I'm just moving right now because we don't go on for 4 minutes.
Okay.
Brittany, the accused, entered a plea not guilty. Brittany, the accused, entered a plea of not guilty on the first full day of the trial. 10 suspects, DeAndre Davis and Rashad Jordan, being charged with first degree and felony murder. Brittany, the accused, entered a plea of not guilty on the first full day of the trial. 10 suspects, DeAndre Davis and Rashawn Jordan, being tried with first degree and felony murder.
Man, you are good looking. You know that? Huh? How many times a day do you do that? How many times? Gentlemen, hey. There you go, girl, smile.
Yeah, so Brittany, the accused entered a plea of not guilty today on the first day of this trial, the first official day of this trial. Teen suspects DeAndre Davis and Rashawn Jordan are facing a first-degree and felony murder charges. The day started with opening statements from the prosecution and the defense attorneys. We have heard so far from KPD officers who responded to the murder and the crime scene investigators, and the victim's father, Stanley Freeman Sr., who told the jury that his son was a good kid, doing all the right things that he should have been, and that he was simply leaving school to get to his job when he was shot. Now, the Freeman family is in the courtroom today, and they are looking to see justice served. They just let out for recess, but everyone is starting to trickle back in, so the trial is not yet done for the day. Yes, so officials today have released evidence regarding their phone, tracking their phones and placing them at the scenes, placing Davis and Jordan at the scenes. They have also recovered bullet casings on the two crime scenes where the crash occurred and the shooting, and were able to trace those to the weapons that were recovered at the houses that Davis and Jordan were staying at. Brittany. Thank you. I stumbled on that last part a little bit, but.
introduced through Ms. Sauls is pictures that were taken of another vehicle in the area that were taken 2 days after the alleged shooting in this case, and connect that to the projectile that was recovered by Ms. Warren. And what the state does not have is Mr. Holloway, who's the owner of the vehicle, to say, this was my car, it was parked here, and on the day of the shooting, and they don't have the person from the repair shop to say, I found this projectile, and I gave it to Mr. Holloway. And so what the defense is arguing is without those two people, the repair shop guy and Mr. Holloway, that they don't have a chain of custody. Well, the question is when does the chain of custody begin? If it starts with Rachel Warren collecting that projectile until it's brought here to the courtroom, I certainly think they've made the chain of custody. So I think really, and that's the way I see it, it becomes a question of relevance. So I think that's really the issue here. Is this projectile relevant, or is it potentially, if it is relevant, excludable under 403, and that unfair prejudice would substantially outweigh the probative value. So I don't think 403 is there. Certainly it would have significant probative value as another projectile that was shot from this particular gun in that area. And so this sounds kind of odd. I don't think that there's a problem with the chain of custody, but they can't make relevance until we hear from Sergeant Dalton, until he connects it to one of these weapons. So I'm going to do what every cowardly judge does, is I'm going to defer my ruling until I hear from Sergeant Dalton. I suspect I'll have to do a jury hearing on this as well. But I am going to allow the state to introduce evidence through Ms. Sauls about going to the scene on the 14th and taking pictures of his car. Now, just to be sure, hearsay statements of Mr. Holloway are certainly inadmissible. And so you can't talk about anything Mr. Holloway said. Just that she went out there, she took pictures of this car, this is where it was located, and I think that's all you can get in through Ms. Sauls.
Can you ask her, did you give him any instructions? So what?
I mean, that's a statement. Is it offer the truth of the matter asserted?
From her?
Yes, I know, but still, it's still a statement by her out in court. So what's the purpose of introducing that statement if not from the truth of the matter asserted?
So I guess what I'm saying is that we would ask that, because she is telling him instructions, telling him what to do. So it's not, she's giving him directions of what to do. And then what Rachel has said is that as a result of the call I got, I went back out to the scene.
Which is absolutely for the truth of the matter, is there?
That's
Because-
the problem, because Holloway's going to
That's
say,
the only reason they go.
I got this gun, and she comes up, I mean, I got this polo.
So I thought that commands were not yours. So
Yeah, I
guess
think
if
you might be
was-
okay on that, but I think Ms. Mathis is it's the back end that's our problem.
No, because remember she testified as a result of the call, this is what I did. No one has said what Mr. Holloway told him to do. So what I'm saying is, the command that she gives is not hearsay. She's saying, this is what I'm telling you to do, and that's it.
But how can we effectively question her about if we can't get into the chain of events because then it's hearsay, but that's the entire basis for it. They instructed them, once you get it repaired, you need to do this, you need to do this. So then there's still a gap, and we can't question about that.
That's what
Because she doesn't have knowledge of.
What, under the state's proposal, what the jury would hear is Ms. Sauls told him, if you recover a projectile from here, please call us back. And they've already heard Warren say, I went back to the house and I recovered this gun from this location. And so what you're saying, Ms. Mathis, is that you're basically backdooring the hearsay that Mr. Holloway's the one that called and said, hey, I've got this projectile, it came from my car. So that's the relevance thing that I'm struggling with, is without Holloway, how do you connect that projectile to his car?
Well, and I understand that the court's ruling about John Dalton, but then I think we might also be running back into a 404B issue, because as the court pointed out, I mean, if we're not even starting this analysis in 2 days after the shooting at issue here. So, I mean, letting this in is just gonna muddy the waters. We're gonna have to, I just think that it's right for error. I don't see the evidentiary value of it that's gonna outweigh the potential prejudice on more than one basis here.
Yeah.
But it's all circumstantial. I mean, that's our argument, is that these casings were left there on this day. I don't have any
Well, this is-
opposition that are.
Yeah, it's not the casing that we're talking about, the projectile in this case. You're saying she went there and she took pictures 2 days afterwards in the same street, in the same area, and took pictures of a car that had a hole in it on 2 days later. And what they're saying is how do you know that that hole came from the shooting that we're talking about here today?
What I'm saying is, my argument is that the 9 casings were left there on 2/12, right? Arguably, I don't know, it's circumstantial evidence that the 9 casings were left there on
Oh, I see
2/12.
what you're saying.
Arguably, they could have been left on 2/10. Because I don't have, that's the thing about this case, I don't have direct proof. All of it's circumstantial.
Yeah, I still think I'm gonna let Ms. Sauls testify. I went out there 2 days later and I took pictures of this car. This is where it was located, and this is the bullet defect that I saw in this vehicle. I'm gonna let her do that, and then I'm gonna wait and hear from Sergeant Dalton when we do a jury out hearing before I decide whether or not the projectile itself comes in.
Yes.
You're both making good points. It's tricky, and I kind of think Ms. Mathis makes a good point. It doesn't have a whole lot of significance considering it didn't come from Mr. Freeman's body. That would be a much more significant thing. You know, it's just one of another projectile that was found. It wasn't even in the victim's car, so.
And I think we're limited in our ability to really cross-examine her on it without opening the door to what we're trying to keep out here about, well, when did you respond? What was the, I mean,
Yeah.
our hands are kind of tied on even the ability to cross her on this issue.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure that there's a whole lot more to cross on other than nobody took these pictures the day of the shooting, and I mean, that's the cross right there, right? You know, and you didn't collect anything that day. So I'm gonna let the state, show that that was part of their investigation. It came out 2 days later, took a picture of this vehicle with a bullet defect in it. And I'll also let you, I think you're probably right on the command. It's not hearsay, it's not our proof traumatic surgery, it's what she told them to do. But beyond that, I'm not sure how far you're going to get. All right?
Yeah, we're not trying to go.
Yeah. Yeah, today. Wait for Dawn about the projectile. All right, so let's go ahead and bring a jury in and hear that jury.
And so, I had lined up like 3 of the witnesses, and I suspect, I probably don't need those 3 witnesses.
Are they short?
I've got probably 2 witnesses that are short, and then 1 witness that's very long that I can.
I'd get rid of that person for sure.
Yeah, we have like 3 witnesses that I think we will.
All right. Oh, yeah, bring it. Okay, when you may be seated, state way to call jury.
Stay away from it.
That's what to call.
Wait,
Affirmative. Thank you, folks. All right, our next witness is on the witness stand. If you please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Please have a seat.
Good afternoon. Could you please introduce yourself to the jury?
Yes, my name is Nicole Sauls, or I also go by Nikki.
With whom are you employed, ma'am?
I'm employed with the Knoxville Police Department with the City of Knoxville.
In what capacity are you employed with that department?
I'm employed in the forensics unit as a crime scene technician.
How long have you been employed as a crime scene technician?
As a crime scene technician, approximately 4.5 years.
And were you so employed in February of 2021?
Yes, I was.
Can you explain to the jury some of the duties and responsibilities you have as a crime scene technician?
As a crime scene technician, we respond to varying degrees of crimes. Those can range from vehicle burglaries, residential, commercial burglaries, all the way up to sexual assaults, suicides, as well as homicides. We respond to those scenes. We document those scenes, typically through photography. We identify and collect evidence. We may also process that evidence if need be, as well as sending off to a potential lab.
On February 14th, 2021, were you called to respond to 2720 Tarleton in relationship to this case?
I was.
And what was the reason for your being called to that location at that time?
There was a vehicle, a maroon Ridgeline truck, that appeared to have a defect in the vehicle.
And did you arrive at that location and observe that particular vehicle?
I did.
What did you do after you observed this vehicle in relationship to your job duties?
Upon observing the vehicle, I proceeded to document the area, the residence itself, via photography. I documented the vehicle as well. I placed scaled stickers onto the defects that I was able to observe, took photos of those as well.
Your Honor, we have marked exhibits 182 through 201, which are the photographs that Ms. Souls had taken.
Any additional objection?
None other than already raised.
Same thing. All right.
May I approach a witness with these?
Over objection, will be exhibit 182 through 201.
Show you what's been marked as exhibits 182 through 201. Could you take a look at those, and if possible, could you tell the jury what those are?
These are the photos that I took that day on February 14th at 2720 Tarleton Avenue.
Do they fairly and accurately represent the items which you were attempting to document and process?
They did.
We would move exhibits 182 through 201.
Very well. You may publish.
So this is exhibit 182. Can you identify that particular view?
That is the view from the street, Tarleton Avenue, facing towards 2720 Tarleton Avenue with the ridgeline with the defects sitting in the front driveway.
And is it normal and usual for you to start your documentation at a wider view and then moving towards your particular target?
Yes, it is. We will take overall photos of the location where we respond, and then we will from there take mid-range and close-up photos of any items of interest.
And the next item, 183?
That is where I've zoomed in to show the numerics of 2720. That is just to document accurately that I am at 2720 Tarleton Avenue.
And exhibit 184?
This would be the rear of the maroon Honda Ridgeline.
And is there a reason that you're focusing on the tag?
So just for further documentation to identify this particular vehicle, we will go around and take overall photos each side of the vehicle, as well as any damage noted, as well as the tag and the VIN, the vehicle identification number.
185?
And this is just going to be the driver's side of that same Honda Ridgeline.
And 186?
And this is the angle from the front of the Honda Ridgeline.
Again, this is in relationship to your normal duties and responsibilities to circle the item that you're looking at.
That is correct.
187?
And this would be that passenger side as I'm working my way around the Honda Ridgeline.
188?
This would be the defect that I observed on the rear driver's side door of the Honda Ridgeline.
189?
This is where I have opened that rear driver's side door. There towards the bottom left-hand side, you can see a portion, there is an additional defect in that bottom corner of that door, the interior of the door.
And that corresponds with the exterior entry
That's
of that
correct.
particular door?
It does.
190?
This is a close-up scale with a scale sticker photo of that particular defect located on the interior of the rear driver's side door.
191.
This is a photo documenting the rear back seat of that Honda Ridgeline, just documenting where my path is going as far as photographing the inside of the vehicle.
So once you've opened the door and examined the defect, you're looking at a direction through the interior of the vehicle?
That's correct. I'm looking at this point to get an overall photo of the direction that I'm headed to potentially further document another defect.
192. In this particular picture, there's an individual that's on the other side of the vehicle in that particular picture. Were you able to identify who that person is?
That would be the owner of the Honda Ridgeline.
All right. And 192?
So this is a photograph documenting underneath, from the driver's side, underneath that bench seat in the rear of the Ridgeline.
And what was the purpose of your trying to examine that location?
I wanted to document in, excuse me, in the, sort of in the center of this photo, you can vaguely see a defect there, and it would be located on the interior of the rear passenger door. So I'm moving my direction towards that defect.
In the direction that you believed the bullet may have passed through?
That's correct.
193.
This is just a more exposed photo, just more so focusing on that defect itself on the other side of the vehicle.
It's sort of centered in this particular photograph in the opposite direction.
Yes, sir.
194.
This is the exterior. I've moved back around to the exterior of the rear passenger side door where another defect could be noted.
195.
That is a with scaled sticker photo of the defect that was located on the rear passenger, door.
Is there anything in particularly significant about the nature of that particular defect that causes you to investigate further?
The particulars of that defect would indicate to me that the projectile would not have actually come through that particular material, that particular portion of the door itself. It would have made contact with it, but would not have actually proceeded through the door.
And so in your particular capacity as a forensic investigator, that would indicate that you needed to look further for that projectile.
That's correct.
And did you?
I did.
196.
This is a photo. I've opened that rear passenger door. This is a photo. I actually already placed a scale sticker down at the defect that I mentioned earlier on the interior of the rear passenger door. And this is just an overall photo of that door and the interior.
197.
And this is just a mid-range photo of that particular defect on the interior of the rear passenger door.
So in summary, the projectile entered on the opposite side of the vehicle, passed underneath the bench seats into the opposite door, and is in between that location and the location that you saw the defect on the exterior of the door.
That's correct.
198.
And this would just be a close photo of that particular scaled defect with the scale sticker.
And there is some sort of white substance that's beneath the plastic there. Is that some sort of batting that's between the door and the...
Yes, that's some type of material that was on the interior of that pebbled plastic panel.
199.
This is where I have partially removed the part of the pebbled plastic on the interior of the rear passenger door, just to document further as I'm examining into the door.
So you're trying to get into that particular compartment of the door to look for the projectile.
That's correct.
200.
This is where I've used my hand to kind of hold a portion of that material on the door back. And you can see, sort of in the top center of this photograph, you can see an additional defect.
201.
And then that is just a further close picture of that particular defect in the interior of that rear passenger door.
To the extent that you were able to get that far into the door, were you able to extract the projectile at that time?
I was not.
Did you give some particular directions to Mr. Holloway, the owner of the vehicle, regarding the extraction of that projectile?
I did. I advised him that upon taking the vehicle to have it fixed or any kind of body adjustments made to the vehicle, corrections made, that if he would let us know once that projectile had been retrieved and that we could retrieve that from him.
Very good. Pass the witness.
Cross-examination, who'd like to go first?
I don't have anything else.
Ms. Matthews.
Just one question. Just to clarify, you responded to take these photographs on February 14th of 2021, correct?
That's correct.
Nothing further.
Anything else, John?
No.
Ms. Robinette, anything else?
No, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, sir. Folks, we've got a couple more short witnesses. It won't take long. Joe, please go to our next witness.
Bill Jenkins.
Yeah, can I approach on that?
Tracy Hunter.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Ms. Fitzgerald, who did you say it was?
Tracy
Okay.
I'm sorry, that's my witness.
Officer, if you come right here next to me, please. Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony about to give in the case now on trial will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Have a seat, Cap.
Good afternoon. Could you please identify yourself to the jury?
I'm Captain Tracy Hunter of the Knoxville Police Department.
How long have you been employed by the Knoxville Police Department?
Over 23 years.
In what capacity are you currently employed?
I'm currently the captain over the Investigative Services Division in the Investigations Bureau.
In February of 2021, what capacity were you employed then?
I was the lieutenant over the forensics unit.
In that capacity, did you have some involvement with regards to the searching of a resident at Cathedral?
Yes.
Can you describe for the jury the nature of your having arrived at that location and your involvement in that search?
Upon arrival with a couple others from our forensics unit, we were directed to come inside, and the officers and forensics techs were divided up into different rooms in the residence. No one was assigned to the two bathrooms, so I went ahead and searched the bathrooms myself, but I didn't find anything.
After there was some sweep in search of the particular residence, did you have found yourself on the back porch of that location.
Yes.
And in the course of your having been on the back porch, did you locate some particular piece of evidence that you found necessary and important?
Yes.
What was that?
It was an AR rifle.
Were there photographs taken of the search and of that location?
Yes.
We have marked exhibits 259 through 266. If we can show them to the witness, Your Honor. Area approach.
Yes.
Show you what's been marked as exhibits 259 through 266. Would you take a look at those? And if possible, let us know what they are.
These are the photos of the back porch there at Cathedral Lane and the AR rifle found.
We move those particular exhibits in evidence.
Any objection? 259 through 266.
May we publish? I'd like you to, if you could, narrate these particular exhibits for us. This is exhibit 259. What are we looking at here?
We're looking at the door from, I believe, the dining room to the back porch.
And 260?
Standing in the doorway, looking off to the left of the back porch.
261?
Standing at that same point, looking straight ahead.
262?
Still standing in the same point, looking off to the right.
So this is a scan from left to right of the back porch.
Yes, that's correct.
263?
And that's the other end of the porch from the same point.
264?
That is the AR rifle at the place where we found it.
Located underneath that porch furniture that was located on the back porch.
Correct.
265?
That's the rifle on the little table after I unloaded it.
And 266?
That's the other side of the rifle.
$339.
May I approach witness room?
Yes.
Show you what's been marked as exhibit 339. Are you able to identify that?
Can you, just let me see. Okay. Make sure, I just want to make sure it's safe. This weapon is safe, you may display it.
This is the weapon that was found on the back porch.
The weapon that is contained in the photographs of 266 and 265?
Correct.
And did she show the jury?
You may step down. Always good to double check.
yes, that exhibit be entered in the registry.
Any objection?
None.
I forgot what number was that?
339.
339. Cross-examination, Ms. Mathis.
No questions, Your Honor.
Ms. Robinette.
Ms. Hunter, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, my name is Hoy Rahman. I just asked you a few questions. Now, you go back to the photograph on right there, the porch. Where's that located at?
It's on the back porch.
I mean, like the address of the house.
I don't have any paperwork in front of me. I don't know the exact address of the house.
Okay, do you know whose house that is?
No, sir.
Do you know it was Mr. Jordan's house?
No, I do not.
That's all I have, Your Honor.
Anything else, Joe? Ms. Mathis. Thank you, Captain Mission 10. Is that off the day?
I was going to do a
Stipulation? Sure, that's fine.
Is Thomas Turner here?
All right.
The screen and I really do think that
Where's your next witness?
Thomas Turner.
Investigator, if you come up here next to me, sir.
Here you go. 272.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do. That's it, sir. Thank you.
Please tell us your name, sir.
Thomas Turner,
Where are you employed?
Knoxville Police Department,
How long have you been employed there?
12 years.
And what do you do with the Knoxville Police Department?
I'm currently a homicide detective.
Sir, were you still employed back on February 12th of 2021 with the Knoxville Police Department
I was with the Knoxville Police Department, but as a patrol officer.
as a patrol officer? Sir, did you assist other officers with the execution of a search warrant back on February 12th, 2021
I did.
at 1614 Cathedral?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell us, what was your role?
I was initially there as a crisis negotiator unit. Once the search warrant was, I guess once the house was cleared and all of the occupants were brought outside of the house, I then stayed to assist the detectives on the case with the search of the home.
And did you in fact assist in the search of the home?
I did.
And was there a particular item that you located?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell us what item that was.
A firearm.
Can you tell us about how you came to see the firearm?
I was searching a bedroom and noticed that there was an article of clothing underneath a dresser. When I went to move that article of clothing, it had an excessive amount of weight to it, or for lack of a better description, and so at that point I called Crime Lab to further investigate that photograph.
And did you remain there while Crime Lab did that?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you see what item it was?
Yes, ma'am. It was a Glock firearm. The caliber was a .45 GAP.
If I can approach.
Okay.
Show you exhibits 272 to 276, and ask if you recognize these exhibits.
Yes, ma'am. This first picture, 272, is the dresser and the jacket partially pulled out of the underneath of the dresser. The next photograph, 273, is the Glock handgun partially concealed by the gray jacket. 274 is a photograph of the full side profile of the firearm on the ground. 275 is another full side profile of the gun after the firearm had been cleared with the round that was in the chamber leg next to it and the magazine next to that.
It's not photographed, it's a picture just of the other side of the gun. You can see the serial number in the same position on the bed.
I'd like to move into evidence exhibit 272 to 276.
Any objection to these photos?
No, Your Honor.
Very well, you may publish those.
Your Honor. Sir, you ready?
Ready?
Yes, sir. Direct your attention to the wall. You recognize exhibit 272.
Yes, ma'am.
What are we looking at here?
This is the dresser on the left side. The jacket is the gray, right in the middle of the screen there. It's been partially pulled out. That's about where it was left when I called for crime lab, noticing that it weighed more than a fiber jacket should weigh.
273.
Says we were beginning to go through the jacket and see where the excess weight was from, locating the firearm.
274.
Jacket removed, full side profile of the firearm on the ground.
275.
That's on the bed, directly next to where it was found after being cleared. One round in the chamber and the magazine taken out of the firearm.
276.
Same firearm, just the opposite side.
Here's some neat gloves underneath this.
Right there on top, on your left. There's some right in front of you. Hang your sunglasses. Whichever work does my bit.
Yeah, 340.
Got the jacket. Got the jacket and then the firearm. Hey, Mr. Robinson, I got the jacket and the firearm. If I can approach and show you exhibit 340, you know whether or not the jacket was confiscated?
Yes, ma'am, by crime.
If you want to just open that and ask if you recognize that as being the jacket. You recognize exhibit 340?
Yes, ma'am. This is the jacket that was underneath of the dresser.
Would you like to move exhibit 340 into evidence?
Any objection?
No.
340.
Please. And the firearm that you located, you know whether or not that was confiscated?
Yes, ma'am, it's confiscated by crime as well.
Showing you exhibit 341, do you recognize exhibit 341?
And it's the firearm with the
Tommy, cannot see that. This weapon is safe, you may display it.
firearm located underneath the dresser in there with the attached light to sight laser device.
Would like to move exhibit 341 in as evidence?
Any objection?
None.
341.
We would ask for the officer to be able to display that to the jury.
You can take it out and display it. If you just double check and make sure it's still safe, I'm sure you didn't load it just then. Yeah, you're good.
Passings.
Cross-examination, anybody? You can go first, Ms. Mathis.
Good afternoon. My name is Ashley Mathis. I represent DeAndre Davis. So you testified that you arrived at the address listed on February 16th, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you would agree that a number of individuals were inside the residence prior to execution of the search warrant, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you would agree that 6 individuals at least were present at that time, correct?
I don't know the numbers, more than 2 or 3. There's
More than 2 or 3? Okay. And you would agree with me that you assisted in the execution of the search warrant, correct?
I was there when the search warrant was executed, and I helped with the search. I didn't initially have anything to do with it. I was just sitting back in a reserve role as a negotiator in case they
Sure.
needed this.
Were you inside the house?
After everyone came out of the house, yes.
Yes. And you would agree that there are multiple bedrooms in the house, correct?
Yes.
And if I could approach.
Yes, ma'am.
The state asked you about a North Face jacket that was found in one of the bedrooms, correct?
Correct.
And does this look like a photograph of that same North Face jacket?
Yes, all I can see is a tag, but the material looks similar to the jacket that we just displayed.
Okay. Would you agree that the jacket is a women's North Face jacket?
I didn't specifically look at the gender of the jacket, but
Or do
we
we
still
have
have
that?
it.
Yeah, it's
Here.
in that bag down there.
You wouldn't mind just examine this and see if this is. So after looking at this exhibit, would you agree that it's a women's size small?
Yes, ma'am. Thanks.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Hearing Officer Turner, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. My name is Hoy Robinette. I'll ask you a few questions. Okay. The address, do you know whose house that is?
No, sir.
Okay. Do you ever run the title to see whose house that is?
I did not.
Okay. Were you just there to assist the search of the house?
Correct.
Okay. And the weapon that you found, that weapon, was it in which room was it?
In the bedroom off the hallway to the right.
Okay. Well, how many bedrooms are there?
I don't know. I didn't search the whole house, sir.
Okay. So you only searched that particular room?
Correct.
And that was under the dresser door, is that correct?
Correct.
And do you know who room that is?
I did not.
That's all I have, Your Honor.
Anything else, Joe? No, sir. Ms. Mathis?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you, investigator. Have a good afternoon. All right, folks, it's 5 o'clock on the dot. So we'll go ahead and adjourn for the evening. I'm going to send you home with the same instructions I've been giving you, and it's all discuss this case among yourselves or ignoring anyone else. Also, please avoid any local news coverage at this time. And if you stumble across something about this case, please stop immediately watching this and reading what it was, and then let me know about it next time we see each other, and we can address it then. Tomorrow, I just have a couple cases to deal with. It'll probably take about 10, 15 minutes. So I'm going to ask to be here around 9:15 tomorrow. I should have you in here somewhere between 9:15 and 9:30. So once again, I'd ask you to take your notebooks with you. We'll keep those locked up overnight. Please go. I'll see you tomorrow about 9:15, folks. Have a good night.